Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a bit of a special one. We're going to be directly comparing Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 2042 in multiple aspects, or as many aspects that I can find that actually matter. Now, before we get into the video, I want to acknowledge that I am technically comparing a quote-unquote finished game with Battlefield 4 with an ongoing game that is still receiving updates in Battlefield 2042. Some people might think that is unfair, but I think comparing 2042 to Battlefield 4 will successfully illustrate just how much is left out of just the base game of 2042, and that is really the real goal here, just to show how dumbed down and how far Battlefield has really fallen. So, if you like the video, hit the like button, it really does help the channel out, and if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. 70% of people that watch my videos are not subscribed. If you enjoy Battlefield content, if you enjoy FPS and news-related content, I'm the channel for you, and I hope you guys will enjoy your stay. So, without further ado, I think the most appropriate thing to start out here is actually not even in-game. First, we're going to take a look at the Origin offerings and kind of the Origin page for this game, just to see what actually comes with it. So, without further ado, let's jump right into that. Alright, we're in everyone's favorite game launcher, Origin, and I think this is important to go over the differences between Battlefield 2042 and Battlefield 4's content delivery. Battlefield 4 was very much under the premium sort of content delivery system, and Battlefield 2042 is under a live service system. Now, with Battlefield 4 Premium, when you bought it, you were essentially granted access to 5 expansion packs, a bunch of weapons, bunch of guns, bunch of maps, you know, bonus battle packs, priority positioning server queues, because remember back then, Battlelog was very much still the dominant thing. Games did not move to an in-game sort of focused experience with in-game server browsers, in-game all this and that. It's very much still a online server browser handled video game, and for 2042, that is really no longer the case. Games in general have moved away from that, and it's basically all one integrated experience now. That is what games are doing. One very important thing to mention before we get into Battlefield 2042 is actually even before Battlefield 4 released, Battlefield 4 actually teased the game's first DLC well before Battlefield 4 even launched. Battlefield 4 launched sometime in October, I believe October 29th, but on May 21st of that same year, months before the game released, they teased the first DLC as well as the full game. And it was available to players who pre-ordered the game at no extra cost. It was released to premium players on December 3rd, followed by a general release date on December 17th. So just keep that in mind. So now let's jump over and see what 2042 offers. So jumping over here to see what Battlefield 2042 is offering, and guys, we're assuming you bought the absolute highest trim level of the game just for a fair comparison. That's what I did for Battlefield 4, so we're going to do the same for Battlefield 2042. So looking at Battlefield 2042, you can already see a very noticeable and vast difference in what is offered and sort of marketed in these pre-order sort of Ultimate Edition games. So with Battlefield 2042 Ultimate Edition pre-order, you get the 1-year pass, which contains 4 new specialists, 1 per season, 4 battle passes, 1 per season, and 3 epic skin bundles. So very different approach here already. You also got a bunch of other skins, sort of like Shadow Stalker Legendary Outfit, a Legendary Weapon skin. You got an art book, and you got an exclusive digital soundtrack. Now, as you'll notice here, it doesn't even specifically mention anything about maps at all. It doesn't mention anything about assignments, doesn't mention anything about maps, doesn't mention anything about like added vehicles or anything like that. And you can look through all these different ones, and I mean, it just doesn't say anything about it. Like, there's very little really told to you here with any of these that you'll find in Origin. So that is, if that's not shocking enough, I mean, just wait until we get in game and I'll show you all the different little details that are different between the games. So without further ado, let's jump into Battlefield 4. I think what we're going to do first is we're going to take a direct look at the UI and compare those to each other. Alright, so let's take a quick look at this game's UI compared to 2042's. Before we even get into that, well, you'll notice that I'm in the Battlefield 4 test range, which 2042 also does not have, but that is beside the point. So we'll load in the game here, and we'll open the options menu before we take a direct look at how I have my UI set up. So as you can see here, everything is very nicely laid out, not too complex. You know, controls, gameplay, audio, video, key bindings, and you know, everything is easy to find, advanced options, you know, everything is where it should be. Very easy to navigate. So some of the most important options are obviously the advanced gameplay options, and this holds some of the stuff that Battlefield 2042 absolutely does not have. So in terms of things that Battlefield 2042 does not have, it does not have a lot of these transparency, you know, and opacity functions that Battlefield 4 has. You can change the opacity, the ADS opacity of so many different things in Battlefield 4. You actually would take a minute to actually sit here and read all of the options that are actually available. Huge thing that's missing from Battlefield 2042, you can resize your minimap. You can make it as small or as large as you want. I like to keep it on a nice even 140%. You can change the background visibility, change the icon visibility, change the icon size, scale. You can change whether or not icons scale with the minimap, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's very, very in-depth minimap customization, and I think that is essential for a game that the minimap is so important in, like a game like Battlefield. And Battlefield 2042 absolutely lacks that. As far as soldier hipfire reticle, Battlefield 2042 does have some sort of crosshair customization, but it isn't as robust as this. So in Battlefield 2042, there are like preset sizes and thickness and thinnesses that you can check, and that doesn't really give you the full scope of customization. And here, as you can see, you can, you know, make your hipfire reticle as large or small as you want. You can see it increasing or decreasing on the right side of the screen here. Mine is green, so if I want to make it boom 150%, you know, I can do that, or make it as small as possible. I don't even know what I just had it at. I think I had it at 80% or something like that. You can change its visibility. You can change the color of it with an, you know, full RGB scale here. And one of the most important things is actually the soldier optics reticle. So in Battlefield 4, pay attention to the right side of the screen here. See? You can actually see what your reticle looks like while changing the option in real time if you're spawned in-game. Now, if you're not spawned in the game, this won't happen. I always thought this was a very, very cool feature of Battlefield 4 that isn't really talked about much. You can actually see what you're going to be seeing in-game as you change it. So there's no, like, changing it and then backing out of the menu and then going back in if you don't like it. You can just set it to however small or as big as you want and just continue to play the game. So I always thought that was a really awesome aspect of this game. You can change its glow. Again, you can change its color, full RGB scale. And you can actually change all of the vehicle HUD colors. Pretty much everything to do with this UI in this game, you can customize to your liking. But some of the most important options that are missing from Battlefield 2042 are the ADS opacity sliders. And here are the ADS opacity sliders, like I mentioned before. So objective visibility and zoom, interaction visibility, pickup, explosive ammo, medic pack visibility and zoom. What this actually translates to is you can reduce screen clutter heavily with these settings. And that is essential to a game like Battlefield, where there's a ton of icons everywhere, and when you aim down sights, it could be very, very cluttered. With these options, you can pretty much essentially just get rid of that. So you see all these icons here? Boom, gone. Just gone. And you don't have this option in 2042. And it's even worse that 2042 doesn't have this option, because 2042 actually has far more icons than this game has, because the game has, you know, 128 players. There's just simply more stuff going on. Now, for whatever reason, these dummies actually disappear, but you can actually make it so any enemies you aim at, make sure they don't disappear. So if you see enemy world HUD icons, you can make sure that, you know, the size is correct. All icons are super visible if they're enemy. Health bar visibility and zoom, you know, info visibility, all that stuff. You can even toggle whether or not you can see if an enemy has defensive perk. That is very, very useful, because it might be the difference between killing them with 4 bullets and not killing them with 4 bullets in this game. So there it is. So that is pretty much all we have going on for Battlefield 4's UI. It's very snappy, very responsive. It's just well done, and I think once we go over to 2042, you will see why this UI is just vastly superior in every way, if you don't already see why it's superior now. So let's head over to 2042 and become disappointed. Alright, so we're in Battlefield 2042's UI. Because Battlefield 2042 actually doesn't have a test range, I'm currently standing in the back of the map of an active breakthrough game, so hopefully I don't die. Oh, look! Oh, what happened? Wait a minute, this happened just as a recording? Was I kicked from the menu? Oh, good! Player removed from the game. Very interesting. That goes in the video, honestly.
Until they
Alright, sorry, I got kicked from the game for absolutely no reason. So we're back in 2042's UI. Sorry for that inconvenience, but we're going to be taking a look at the same options, or lack thereof, that we looked for in Battlefield 4. So right off the bat, take a look at the upper menus in Battlefield 2042. So there's a bunch of them, but under these menus are a bunch of sub-menus. And I personally think this system is just vastly inferior. I think you can do it a lot cleaner if you just kind of copy the way Battlefield 4 did it. And yeah, that's really it. But take a look at the, first and foremost, the minimap settings. You cannot change your minimap size at all in this game. Very, very little customization. The Crosshair is almost the exact same. It's not exactly the same because you can't change the actual Crosshair size. So it is, again, just a little worse than Battlefield 4's. And the HUD is where you really get into the bad stuff. So this HUD has no opacity sliders, no ADS opacity sliders. It is very, very bad, and I will show you why it's bad. So in Battlefield 4, if I aim down sights, all these icons would disappear. Like, none of my teammates' icons would be on my screen right now. And as you can see, looking at B1, I mean, it would just be a vastly cleaner experience for everybody if you could just turn this useless information off, right? Like, I don't care where my teammates are when I'm shooting at an enemy. I want to see an enemy, right? And that is why ADS opacity sliders are very important. All this useless all this really bad information that you can just really get rid of if the game was actually decent. So with that, we're going to jump over to some gameplay comparisons and some other stuff. So when going over Battlefield 4 versus Battlefield 2042 gameplay, I'm going to be going over it from a skilled player's perspective. When it comes to Battlefield games, that's my bread and butter. I like pushing myself to, you know, achieve ridiculous scores, stuff like that. I love learning the mechanics of the game. I love learning how stuff works. I have a very competitive mindset. I've played a ton of different FPS games like that, and I have a ton of friends with the same mindset, and we love, you know, debating all that stuff. So when it comes to this game versus BF4, I think the first thing you just have to mention is a baseline. Battlefield 2042 as a game, in many, many aspects, is just far more dumbed down than Battlefield 4. Battlefield 2042's gunplay doesn't really require much attention. It's kind of just, you know, spray and pray. You don't have to really burst or anything like that. Battlefield 4, you really do have to pay attention to whether or not you're suppressed, whether or not your spread is increasing, or what you have to do. Do I have to burst here? Am I at a range where I'm allowed to full auto? Is that acceptable with this weapon? Another thing that's very, very evident switching between BF4 and 2042 is that Battlefield 4's movement just has a lot more to it, and it's more punishing, and also far more, you have to time it it's way less forgiving with the timing of those things you have to do. So with Battlefield 4, you have to place your jumps correctly, you have to place all your little movement tricks that you do correctly, the air strafing, the crouch spamming. You have to be very precise with it, or else you will be caught out in the open. And with Battlefield 4's movement, you really can't strafe while you're aiming down sights. And people say, like, oh, just equip a bullpup. It really doesn't even matter. Like, if you're not good at timing your engagements in Battlefield 4, you're going to die in the open trying to fight somebody. And in Battlefield 2042, it's not necessarily dumbed down in this specific aspect. In Battlefield 2042, you really do have a lot more movement freedom. You can strafe faster while aiming down sights. You have grapple hooks. You have crouch spam again. I think the crouch spam in 2042 is just, I think, slightly harder to hit than Battlefield 4's. It's not as planted to the ground as BF4's is. And you really can't jump around an air strafe as you can in Battlefield 4, like the really, really good players do. And I think the most telling aspect between the two games that Battlefield 2042 has been dumbed down since Battlefield 4 is the vehicle gameplay. Battlefield 2042's vehicle gameplay is an absolute shell of what it was in Battlefield 4. There are essentially no remaining mechanics in Battlefield 2042 vehicles. They're extremely easy, they're extremely shallow, and they're extremely cheesy and just really brain dead to use. And in Battlefield 4, if you were an exceptional player that really learned how to use their vehicle, learn the mechanics, you might be very hard to kill, but you deserve to be very hard to kill because you're playing correctly. In Battlefield 2042, I just feel like it's way too easy to jump in a Little Bird, switch to Hydra missiles, and kill like 6 or 7 people. In Battlefield 4, you couldn't do that. You didn't see like Tim Bob 1978 jump in a Little Bird and use the miniguns to beam like 17 people across the map. That doesn't really happen. You had to be an exceptional pilot with great aim and great mechanics to do that in Battlefield 4. Same with the jets, same with the tanks. And I know a lot of people might disagree, like, oh, in Battlefield 4, people just camp in the back. Listen, I want to let you guys know, those people are dog shit. I'm talking about truly, like, really exceptional players here in Battlefield 4. We're talking Kelzage in tanks. We're talking Focus BF in Little Birds. We're talking truly some of the best players that really showed people on Twitch and YouTube the true skill ceiling of Battlefield 4 vehicles, and that is not present in 2042. It just isn't. And I think if you play the two games back to back, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. There are barely any mechanics separating anything from any skill level of player in Battlefield 2042 vehicles. So that's about it. I don't want to drag this video out. I think I got my point across. If you liked the video, hit the like button. It really does help the channel out. And if you want to see more content like this, or if you want to see more comparison videos, comment down below and hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys on my Twitch stream tomorrow at twitch.tv/enders. Link is in the description. I stream every single day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.